Okay, so I'm just back from a 2-week trip in Vietnam. Okay, I wasn't just back, I was back about 2 days ago. However, I've been sleeping a lot and it was a long trip back, jet lag, all that jazz. But I wanted to make a quick video going through the gear I used for that trip because I think I've finally found sort of the perfect balance between gear and weight and also just general sort of travel-y type gear where you don't want to take, you're not going there explicitly to take pictures, so you don't bring like things like a tripod or filters. You're going there to have fun, to explore if you're traveling with other people, but you want to take some pictures on the way, some snapshots, all that kind of jazz. So let's start off with the bag itself, and it is my Low Pro Tactic 350 AW2. So I absolutely love this bag. It is small enough that it fits everywhere. So before, when I traveled in Japan for 2 weeks with a friend, I brought the 450 AW version 1, which I'm probably going to get rid of and get the second version. Like, I really like this bag, okay? Now it's huge, and it's just a massive behemoth. You know, you can pack all of that bookshelf in behind me, computers, monitors, half the camera store, a couple of beds. You know, it's sort of a black hole of gear. This bag is actually really nice. The 350 is a really nice size. I had the first version, but I ended up selling it because I actually didn't like it that much. It was too rounded and it never felt like you could fit gear into it. This one's more squared off and it feels like you can fit a lot more. Perfect for small traveling and day trips because it doesn't feel like it's taking up too much space. The 450 is so wide and so deep that you wear it on a train in Japan and you feel like you're taking up the whole carriage, while this is a perfect size. So here's the bag. One thing I like about this bag is that it's also a flip side, so you have to open it from the back, which means it's very hard for people to steal stuff. One thing I want to point out is this laddie here. I've had this for a few years now. It's the Peak Design capture clip, and the camera just locks into this. Show you that in a second. By far one of the most useful things ever when you're traveling. Seriously worth looking into. Bit on the pricey side, but it's well made and it works. This is the older version. I believe there's a newer version now. So let's crack this bad boy open. And here is the gear that I brought with me. So first things first, headphones. These are the Bose Quiet Comfort 35s. I use these in work, my desk job. I also just love traveling with these. They're great on planes. Seriously, buy a pair of these and you'll be so happy. For flying and all that, I can't travel without them anymore. We have the main camera, which is a Sony A7 Mark III, my favorite camera. It's a year and a half old now, bought in Japan. Great camera. On it, I have the 24-105 f4 lens, which is a perfect travel lens, mostly because it's a really nice kind of zoom range, and it's light enough and small enough that you can just sort of handhold it going around, and it's great. I have a little Peak Design toggle on it here for the wrist strap. Click it onto that toggle and you can put it on your wrist, and that enables you to just sort of carry the camera around like this, and if someone tries to grab it, it's attached to you. But it's not really for that, it's also so that if I drop it, it doesn't fall in a pond or on the road or something like that. Really good way of traveling with a camera. I used to use a neck strap. I used it once and never again. I hate neck straps, they're just terrible. Also, you can unclip this easily, so you can put the camera down and the strap magnetically kind of sticks to itself on your wrist as well. So fold it out of the way, you can just sort of leave it like that. Here's the capture clip, by the way. I'll just show you this working. So it straps like this and it just goes and it drops in and then it's locked in place. And you have to press this little red button here on the side. So if you push that in, you have to rotate it. If you push it in, it just pops out. Slight note, this is actually a small rig plate, a quick release plate for one of their cages, but it has the correct latches for the capture plate, so it works. Kind of a cool idea, nice little detail from small rig. For lenses, I generally only travel with the 24-105, but the day before I left, about 12 hours before I was leaving, I went into the camera store and I bought this, sort of on a whim. This is the Sony 50mm f1.8. The Nifty 50 for Sony FE. It's a nice little lens, great for nighttime stuff. I generally, if I'm out at night, I'll bring a prime lens or a fast prime. because it's night time, and if you're on f4, even with the high ISO performance of that camera being so good, having extra light is just better. And lets you take really nice pictures. It's also very small and very, very light. The original plan was actually, if I go back to my shelf, the original plan before I picked up that lens was to use this, which is a Minolta 50mm f1.7 manual focus lens with an adapter, but it's heavier and it's not as good quality, and I just bought the 50 anyway on a whim. Next up, we've got some batteries for the camera. So I have 2 batteries in here, if I can just get them out. So these are just third-party batteries, Z-type, you know, boring stuff. Power bank, it's great, 20,000 milliamp hours. It's a RAV power bank. I'm getting a new one of these, which has power delivery support on the Type-C port, so I can charge my Microsoft Surface and stuff, which incidentally is the laptop I use on traveling. So I use a Microsoft Surface Pro 6. It's the mid-tier one. It's okay. It does the job. I generally don't edit when I'm on the go. I tend to just not. So I really like that because it has the form factor of a tablet while having the power of a small laptop. And I hate traveling with laptops. They're too big, they're too heavy, they're too clunky, they're not powerful enough for their weight. I just don't like laptops. Here we've got Pelly case, very handy. So this is the Pelly case for SD cards. So it's mostly empty now, but you know, a few 128s in there, micro SDs, that kind of jazz. I really like this case. It's a little on the pricey side. There are cheaper versions, but the cheaper versions I've found actually kind of, the rubber here is quite soft in the Pelly case. But on the cheaper versions, it's really hard. And I've actually had an SD card, like when it's putting in, pop apart on me, which is super annoying. After the Pelly case, underneath it, we've got some cleaning gear. So this is one of these suggestive blower laddies. We also have a lens pen, which I really like. I didn't bring any lens cleaning fluid because this goes in my carry-on, or is my carry-on bag. And, you know, airports and fluids and EU and all that jazz. Now, when you're traveling, I like taking some video clips. And unfortunately, taking video clips handheld on the Sony, even with its stabilization, is not really that great. If you're trying to do like a walking clip or anything like that, it just comes out too jerky. So to alleviate that, I picked up one of these. And it's an Osmo Pocket. It is, and I'm not joking, the greatest travel video camera I've ever seen. It's tiny, it fits in your pocket, it's a gimbal stabilized camera, and you can just walk around with it reasonably well. And it's just incredible. Because you can just leave it in your pocket, something interesting happened, press the on button, okay, we're good to go, center and recording. And now we're recording. And I can just tap it off and, you know, turn it off, folds the gimbal away, pop it back in its little box, and that goes back in your pocket. Great camera for traveling. I'd highly recommend this if you want to take video clips. It also comes in an adapter so you can offload them to your phone, upload them to your friends, and all that. Really, really good little gadget. Really surprised at how much I use this, and it's so good. Now, when you go to Vietnam, there's something everybody does there is ride motorbikes. So, of course, I had a few days on a scooter going around, and that's why I decided to get an action camera. I actually sold my GoPro over a year ago now, and I've had no issues. Like I sold it because I didn't really like the GoPro 5, and I don't like GoPro as a company anyway. Their software is not good enough, and also the mic jack. Anyway, I'm not a fan of it. DJI, however, has come out with the awesome Action since then, which I picked up with its amazing rock steady stabilization, and I used this on the bike, and it was really good. To mount it on the bike, I have this little GoPro mount for handlebars, and it's really good. It's actually all metal. It's a really good quality one. So that's the GoPro, or Osmo Action. Of course, if you're filming out there, it's very bright, and you end up with that weird footage. So to complement the Osmo Pocket, I have these Polar Pro filters that I use. These are actually great. I love using ND filters for video because it makes the video maintain the 180-degree shutter rule, and it doesn't give it that high shutter speed kind of home video look. It looks way better if you use the ND filters to drop your shutter speed to the correct one and set it up correctly. Really, really cool. So I have Polar Pro filters for the Osmo Pocket. I also have them for the Osmo Action. They're a little bit pricey, but I do like the Polar Pro stuff because there's no color casting, there's no issues. I use them on my Mavic 2 Pro. So here's the filters for that. You can actually see the top one here isn't the, this top one here isn't actually, it's actually on the drone right now. Love the Polar Pro filters, so I use those while traveling as well. I do wish the box was a bit smaller though. It seems very large and unnecessary and cumbersome. And finally, the last thing I always bring with me is a battery charger. This is a little USB one. Has 2 slots for Sony a7 III batteries. I generally don't end up using the spare battery a lot. The Z-type battery will just about last me a day of going around, and then I can just plug the USB-C on the camera in and charge it in camera. And lastly, data security, very important. So I also bring one of these. This is a 1 terabyte Samsung T5 SSD, which is incredible because it's, come on camera, there we go. Which is incredible because it's so small, it's so light, it's metal, it's fairly tough, and it's just a beast of an SSD. I picked this up in the Prime Day sales. To back stuff up though, I sometimes use the laptop to back stuff up, or the Surface, but I also brought one of these. This is a RAVPer file hub. This is a really cool little gadget. So you plug your SSD into it, and there's a USB port here behind its cover and an Ethernet port, oddly. But the advantage of this is that it has an SD card slot on the side. So you pop your SD in, turn it on, hit SD to USB, and it will back up all the files on the SD card onto the SSD automatically. And it just keeps you an extra copy of all your data. So I will just fill my SD cards over time, and every night I hit the backup button on this. So I end up with a couple of copies, but it's better than having your SD card fail and then losing all your pictures. And that's pretty much it for my travel kit. That is, I think, kind of the perfect casual traveling kit. Obviously I was traveling professionally, I'd use a big bag and I'd bring like a gimbal with me if I wanted to do really good video and stuff. But if I'm just sort of traveling casually for myself and not really going there to be a photographer to take pictures or take really good video, I just want some pictures as sort of memories and all that jazz, I will very happily just take this bit of kit, small prime lens, little video camera, some filters, action cam, batteries, and my good camera. And that's all I need. So that's it for my travel kit. And I think this is a really good kit so far. So that's it for this video, guys. And I'll see you next time.